Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today is Crockpot Day. Yeah, it's that season and we're in the middle of October, so we've got to bring this one out. This is French onion beef stew. All the flavors that you love in a French onion soup in a stew form. So it's going to be a thicker, more heartier recipe that you can put over mashed potatoes or rice or even pasta if you want to do that. And then we have the crunchy French bread slices, buttered up, toasted with some Gruyere cheese on top. And then I made these delicious green beans, fresh picked and sauteed down to Thomas's liking. All right, you guys, let's put this one together. We've got some stew meat here. This is 1.5 pounds. Now, if you don't have stew meat, you can find a good roast. Just chop that up into kind of bite-sized pieces like they have here. Now, we are going to sear these up before we put them in the crock pot. So you're just going to grab a large, deep skillet. We're going to put that on a medium-high heat. I'm going to get this going. There we go. Almost on a high heat because we really want to crisp up the beef and give it nice texture and some kind of crispy ends to them, and then lock in some seasoning to it. All right, I'm going to do the grab here. Boop. 1 tablespoon of cooking oil. Now while we're letting that heat up, we're going to add some butter. Not the whole stick here. I just forgot to put the butter in my dish that we cleaned out. So there we go. And we'll add 1 tablespoon of butter to the hot oil. Let that get melted down. There we go. 1 tablespoon. All right, let's go over here to the stew meat. There we go. Now I'm going to keep the seasonings on the stew meat pretty simple. We're going to grab some salt, crack it right across the top of it, and then we'll crack some black pepper on top of it. And we're going to place the stew meat into our pan, seasoning side down. There we go. All right, let's do that. Ooh, you hear that sizzle? That's what you want. For sure. All right, seasoning side down with our beef stew meat. So break it up. I'm going to let it sit for about 3 minutes. So it gets nice and golden brown on the bottom. Probably some crispy bits to it also. Now, while we're waiting for that to happen, grab the salt the fat side here, and some coarse black pepper. You always want to sear in some flavor. Make sure you hang on to the rest of the butter. We're going to need that at the end of the recipe. All right, now while you're waiting on the beef stew to get nice and brown on one side, we're going to take 2 very large onions and we're going to take off the ends and the outer layer. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do next to it. Ooh, plow your knife through. These are large yellow onions. Now you can use like Vidalia onions if you want to do that. White onions, whatever you like to use for your onions. Whew. You know, when you're making a French onion soup, you have to have lots of onions. And we're going to let the slow cooker, the crock pot, do all the work with softening down these onions and giving lots of flavor and becoming kind of caramelized. So we're not going to do that in a separate pot. There we go. Woo. All right, let's come back to our stew meat. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Let's start turning it around. Getting it down on the other side. We're going to get this side for a few minutes and then we'll just keep rotating it until it gets all nice and brown and crispy on the ends of the beef stew here. Let's go slice up some onions. We're going to keep these as whole as possible to make nice rings. So I'm just going to take my knife, turn the onion just on its side, and run my knife through it, just like that. Kind of like you're going to make some onion rings. Just watch your hands. Have a nice grip on it. Yeah. How's everybody doing today? Let me know. Let everyone know. I hope it's a great day. It's a Sunday today, and I'm starting off early with this one so I can get it in the crock pot and just let it do its thing, and we'll enjoy it later. Now what we're going to do, just pop them out, make their little rings, just like that. We're going to layer these in the crock pot, so we want these to be equal all over the place. There we go. Now this step is optional. If you want to just take your stew meat and throw it into the crock pot during that level, then that's totally fine. You don't have to brown it up. What I'm going to do is take some of this juice out and really crisp up the beef. Just take some paper towels and put it in there. Move it around, let it absorb a lot of that excess liquid. That way it's not stewing in the pan. 2 more minutes. Now while we're waiting for our meat to finish cooking there, we're going to take the lid off of our crock pot, take some cooking spray and spray the inside of your crock pot. Alright you guys, doesn't that look delicious? Look at that. Ooh, bite-sized pieces of goodness there. Let's start layering everything into the crock pot. Now I've got some delicious stuff happening. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is layer half of our onions into the bottom of the crock pot. Kind of make it the bed down there. So that's almost like one large onion down there. And then we're going to place all the meat on top. Alright, I'm just going to pick it up, get the rest in there. There we go. Make a nice layer there. Now what we're going to do is add the rest of the onions. Right on top. Hide it, hide the meat. There we go. Y'all, these are going to dwindle down to nothing, so don't worry about that. Don't think you got all these onions in there. They're going to melt down. You're going to need 1 packet of au jus gravy by McCormick. This is 1 ounce package. We're going to sprinkle it on top. Cover those onions. There we go. All right, we're going to sprinkle in 1 package of Lipton onion soup mix. Flavor, flavor, flavor. There we go. Lots of flavor. Well, well, well. 1 can of French onion soup by Campbell's. This is a 10.5 ounce size. You can use any brand you want. Just pour it right on top. It's all going to melt together. Half a can of water. Dilute some of those flavors. Get them down on in there. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for this one, you guys. All right. Let's move this off to the side for a second. Remember the butter that I told y'all to save, right? We're going to make pats of butter from it. We'll place it all on top. This will get in with those onions. And we'll do about 5 pats of butter. Y'all see that? Mm-hmm. All right, one more pat of butter. Right there. Yeah, it's a very rich dish. It's Sunday. We're feeling good today, so it's going to go over some mashed potatoes and be served up with some green beans. So I'm going to get some of that off of there. There we go. Okay, we're going to place the lid on. We're going to cook this for about 3 to 4 hours on high or 5 to 6 hours on low until that stew meat is nice and tender. You can put a fork in it and it just breaks apart. All the onions are nice and caramelized down in there and it's delicious. And then we're going to finish it off with our Gruyere cheese. And then I'm going to serve it up, like I said, with some mashed potatoes, green beans, and that crusty, buttery, toasted bread that's going to have some extra Gruyere cheese on top. You know how you like it on top of a French onion soup. Okay, you guys, I'll be back. Okay, you guys, look at that. Took 4.5 hours, and this is so tender. Thomas tried a piece of the meat, and he said, oh yeah, it is perfect. Because this is reminiscent of a French onion soup, we've got some Swiss and Gruyere cheese, and we're going to put it all on top. Now, this was a 6-ounce package, and I took a little bit out of it for the bread that we toasted in the oven. So I'm going to put this on top. Woo, just put it on there. So it's about 4 ounces. And then what I'm going to do is put the lid back on. We're going to let that cheese melt. All right, the cheese has melted. Got a little bit of parsley on top for a bit of color. Let's go in. I'm going to put this over some mashed potatoes. Look at that. Woo! Look at this, you guys. And we got that nice crusty bread. And we've got the green beans that I sauteed down for Thomas. And then he made those lovely mashed potatoes. Let's grab a fork. I'm going to give that a try. All right. There's my bite. Onions and all. And cheese. That is like the kiss of beef stew with French onion. Y'all, look at that plate. That beef is so tender and so flavorful and so delicious. Make sure you pair that with some delicious mashed potatoes. Look at that bread. Nice and toasty. Got the cheese on top, that Gruyere Swiss cheese. Yeah, good for dipping. Pour a lot of sauce on that. All right, you guys, thumbs up on this one. Woo! Happy Crocktober. That means Crockpot or slow cooker recipes in the month of October. All right, you guys, I'll see y'all on the next episode. Bye.